Welcome into Talk Illini, special edition of Talk Illini, a returning edition with some returners coming back to Illinois. We had earlier in the day, David Mirkovic announced he's coming back. Just a simple, I'm back. He's a simple man, he has dreams of becoming a streamer, and he just tells you he's back. No ifs and buts about it, and he's coming back. So it is what it is. And then we got news later on with Tomislav Visic, Zvonimir Visic, and Jake Davis, all coming back. I guess you could say the Balkan Four at this point. Jake Davis is, honorary Balkan, according to them. So we are part of Orange and Blue News of the On3 Network, here to cover the returners that have been confirmed for Illinois so far. I'm sure at some point we'll talk more about other returners and possibilities and things like that. But Sonny, this is great news for Illinois. Merck, he announced his coming back, and then you had a feeling that you might get some more guys at this event that Brad is at to announce they're coming back. You were right on that, so credit to you. How big is this for Illinois basketball to be getting all four of these guys back?
I mean, we can breathe a huge sigh of relief at this point. No matter what happens, and we'll talk about who isn't on this list so far. Bringing back these four guys, the core of what was your Final Four team last year, you're basically guaranteeing yourself probably a top 10 preseason team. You're bringing back a lot of the veteran leadership, a lot of the guys who understand the culture. And we can start with, David Mirkovic in particular. Like, he was the big domino for me that had to fall. And once David fell, then at least at that point, I felt a little bit more comfortable, because I know David was kind of tied to Tomislav and Zvonimir. So I figured if David is in the fold, then really Zvonimir was in the fold. And then with Tomislav, as you and I have discussed on this show, is does he want to go pro or not? And I think maybe the feedback he got, or maybe he just decided a long time ago. David said that immediately after the last game of the season, that he told his agent that he was going to come back. It was going to either be the NBA or Illinois, and that he had decided that he was coming back to Illinois. I do wonder, and again, this news broke literally about 15 minutes ago. To take you guys behind the scenes, JR and I were sitting in our chairs about 20 minutes ago about to record an episode about David, and I was like, hey, hold on. Let's see if something else happens. And sure enough, this happened. So, it's wonderful news. I know Illini fans, we've been waiting for it since the transfer open, the portal opened, Tuesday, about 8 days ago as of this recording. And finally, we get four big key pieces back. Plus, in addition to Stefan Vox, I got to feel really good about this roster right now.
Oh, definitely you do. And you got to feel good about the opportunities that you're going to have in the transfer portal with these guys coming back as well. That's another piece to all of this, is that it does feel like, to a certain extent, obviously retention talk still going on with another player, but in this situation, the pretty much core of your starting lineup is coming back. Might not be the same starting lineup as last season. Your sixth man is Zvonimir Visic coming back as well. It's fantastic stuff, and it shows just how much Brad's culture is improving, because I know for the past few years it's been the bane of some people that, Brad just can't seem to bring back the guys. You lose Merez Johnson, you lost other guys in the past as well, and you think to yourself, are we ever going to be able to hang on to these players? Well, it turns out Brad just needs to hold on to the Balkans and Jake Davis, because he makes the best relationships possible with them, I guess, or they just have the best relationships it is. So overall, I think right now in the Big Ten, this is probably your best group of returners coming back. I know Michigan has Merez Johnson, Elliot Cadeau. Well, Merez Johnson's still in the draft, so there's nothing for sure going on there. But Trey McKinney. But I would still say Illinois has the best group in the Big Ten coming back so far, and especially if they can add one more, it would skyrocket that. I mean, are you of the same opinion there, Sonny?
Yeah, I mean, that leads to another point. Tip of the hat to Brad Underwood. Dusty May right now, of course, coming off a national championship, all credit to him, and he clearly won the transfer portal last year. But when it comes to retention, Dusty's doesn't know what Merez Johnson's going to do. He doesn't know what Ade Mara is going to do. Illinois locked their pieces in very early. They locked in a transfer target piece early, and they're still in the hunt for another one. I think Field of 68 has both Blackwell and Vox as top 2 transfer portal players so far during this period. I mean, everything that Brad gets made fun of for in years prior, not being able to succeed in the tournament, that he cycles through rosters and players and that there's no loyalty, he's proving wrong over and over again. And, it's one of those where I gave a lot of love to Brad on my other channel, Locked On Illini, once we made that Final Four run. But this is just kind of a continuation of it. It's him showing that, he's getting better as a coach. And, yeah, sometimes he does cycle through players, but maybe it's because he doesn't think they're the right players, that the ultimate goal is always to win a national championship. And, once he thinks he's got the right group of guys, that's who he's going to run with.
And I think it bodes well for the future as well, right? I mean, you have other guys coming in like Lucas Murillo that's going to be there. Brandon Lee, obviously, he is going to be going into his sophomore season, so we'll see. We've not got an official announcement from Lee or anything like that, correct?
No, well, I mean, there was a tweet earlier, but I don't know if there's anything that we're gonna.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything like super official.
It wasn't a tweet; it was an Instagram post, but it wasn't from him. It was from like an independent reporter interviewing him, but it was kind of vague to me.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I think we could lean on returning for next year in that scenario. And that's really what I'm talking about here is that I don't think this is just a one-off where Brad is able to keep these guys around and then you're going to continue to get the cycling through the roster in the future. I think this is Brad Underwood knowing, his coaching staff better, knowing himself better, knowing the culture that he wants, knowing the players that he wants, because to a certain extent, they were going through a transitional period the last 3 or 4 years where they were trying to transition the roster into something that Brad had never, really done before. And so, of course, there's going to be some, maybe not as much comfortability there and things like that. It seems like Brad has found himself and found his team in a much more comfortable situation, which I think bodes well for the future. And I think bodes well for trying to keep a couple other guys on this team as well. The big name, obviously, is Andrej Stojakovic. We need to talk about him. And then, Sonny, also, Ty Rodgers is another one that people need to keep their eyes out for. Now, he has not entered the portal. Neither him or Stojakovic have entered the portal, but neither of them have also announced that they're coming back or anything there. What are your thoughts on the possibility of getting Andrej Stojakovic and Ty Rodgers back for next season?
Yeah, I think my opinions on Andre are still remain the same. I think he wants to come back, but I do think his camp is still in love with the idea of going to the next level, going to the NBA. So I don't think, I think maybe he's just not ready to make a commitment, to make an announcement. I can't imagine it would take too much longer because obviously if he does want to enter the transfer portal, he's only got about 6 days left to do that. But I don't know if it's a negotiations process or maybe he's wanting to see who else might be coming back, who else, maybe they're bringing in from the transfer portal. Ty Rodgers is an interesting one. And JR, I brought this up to your attention earlier. The entire roster from this past season was at the Coaches versus Cancer event tonight. The only 2 guys that were missing were Kylan Boswell and Ty Rodgers. Now, Tony Bilic and Mihailo Petrovic, they were there, and they're already in the transfer portal. And Kylan Boswell has an excuse. He's at that with the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. So that's an excuse. That's understandable why he's not there. But Ty wasn't there. And now I hold Ty in such high regard. Like maybe there was an excuse there, but it's hard to wonder if maybe the conversation there didn't go, to the way that they wanted it. And he's going to be moving on. Again, I would say Andre's probably number 1. Ty's number 2 now on guys that we're waiting to hear to come back. And I don't know. What are your thoughts on Ty?
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's a good sign, or I definitely think it's a bad sign that he was not there tonight with the rest of the team. Now, I mean, these guys, they all have personal stuff going on and stuff, so we don't want to, completely jump to conclusions and things like that. But it's just, it is something that makes you a little concerned, and you're also thinking to yourself, but if he does have intentions to enter the portal, why is he not done so yet, right? Because that's the other piece of this is that these guys can only enter into the portal for so long, and honestly, like right now is kind of the prime time to go into the portal to get a starting job someplace else. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like there has to be more going on behind the scenes. Honestly, like I think the Andre Stokovich situation makes a little bit more sense because I'm not saying that this is definitely going to happen, but I get the feel that we could have a bit of a maybe of a repeat Coleman Hawkins situation with Andre Stokovich, where if he does go into the NBA draft, then Illinois and Brad Underwood says, "Look, we love you. We think you're a great player, and we would love to have you back next season, but." We need to find something reliable. And maybe it's not in the transfer portal. Maybe they got some guys overseas. It feels like every single offseason, Orlando Antigua has another name that comes up. It's like, oh, didn't know that name. Here he is. And so there's also the aspect of that it's like, okay, if Andre does go into the NBA draft with how late you can decide that, would Brad Underwood say, we love you. We would love for you to come back, but we can't wait that long to know if you're going to come back or not. And we also have to be able to move on and put this roster together in the right order. So again, I'm not reporting that or anything, but I do get a sense with Andre not announcing for the draft or anything like that yet that there is a possible kind of situation like that could come up. What are your thoughts there?
And possibly, with Andre, I will say in the couple years I've covered college sports, his tracking him is just a little different from everyone else. He was I believe he was a 5-star, but I know he was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school, and then he goes to Stanford, and then he goes to Cal. Like not exactly the destinations for someone of that caliber you would think. And then, ultimately he does come to Illinois. And, all credit to him. He came here is probably thinking with the mindset that he was going to be the alpha guy here. Turns out he ended up not being because of Keaton Wagler, but he took his role and he took it in stride. But now where has his mind been all this time? And of course, his dad's an NBA legend. And so we don't know what kind of conversations are happening within the Stojakovic family. But again, Andre was on streaming with David and Zavonimir just a couple of days ago. So it's not that, there's any issues chemistry wise. I think this, unfortunately, may just ultimately be a business decision for Andre. And so maybe that decision just simply hasn't been made.
Yeah, and all of that leads me to thinking that like Andre does want to come back, but then there's just the roadblock there of like, well, if I try for the draft, then does that mean I can't come back because of other things going on, roster construction, everything like that? I don't think this is like a huge problem in college basketball that like needs to be addressed or fixed, but it is something that does impact more players than I think some people, maybe realize at times. So interesting situation there. We'll definitely be looking to see if some more news or anything comes out about Andre, or if there's an announcement anytime soon. And if there is, you can come back here to Talk Illini, as we'll definitely be talking about that. The final piece to talk about here, Sonny, is that John Blackwell is picking up some steam, picking up some momentum with UCLA. Louisville went out to LA to go visit John Blackwell out there. There's some rumors going out that Illinois did the same thing, but I think the Louisville reporting was much stronger on that. Not to say that anybody's wrong or anything. I just think there's been kind of some more rumors on that. But we'll see kind of what comes of it here. But are you concerned that if Illinois did go out to visit John Blackwell at LA, that he did not come on campus or anything like that? What's your feeling with John Blackwell right now?
Yeah, there's no issues with being on campus. I mean, John has played for Wisconsin for the last 3 years. He's visited Champaign multiple times. And even before his playing days, his dad played for the University of Illinois. So I'm sure he experienced campus before then. And obviously, John declared that he's going to the NBA draft, with keeping the door open of coming back to college. So he's out in LA and he's training. And so I think it makes sense why he is out there, that he's just taking himself seriously in regards to getting ready and getting the feedback that he needs to go to the next level, because he's only got 1 year of college basketball left. So he's got to maximize that 1 year, and he's got to get as much feedback as possible. The fact that, as you mentioned, Louisville went out there. Obviously, the UCLA campus is already there, but Illinois, they went out there to go talk to him on Monday. There's nothing wrong with that for me. You get to have that conversation. I'm glad it happened face to face and not necessarily, via Zoom. But you have to respect that John's got a certain amount of time that he's got to make his decision, and him wanting to be comfortable in the place that he's training at during the summer. That's fine by me. I don't think anything has changed much from my end. I think I've been hearing Louisville has a lot more bags than maybe we initially thought a week ago when they entered the race. But ultimately, as you and I discussed, if John really means the words he said, meaning wants to go to a place that he can win and wants to go to a place where he can showcase himself being more of a guy on the ball type of guy in order to prepare for the NBA level, there's no better spot than Illinois. And because my mindset hasn't changed on that, I don't think I wavered on whether I think he's going to show up in Champaign ultimately.
Yeah, and I definitely get the feeling that this is a recruitment, transfer portal recruitment that's going to take a while, because I do think John Blackwell is probably going to be looking for feedback from the NBA on things he needs to work on, and that's definitely going to play into his decision. Now, if somebody says to him, "Hey, we don't need to see you on ball as much. We want to see this, that, and the other. We want to see more explosion out of your game, whatever it might be," then yeah, I'm sure he's going to take that into account. And where can I go to, get more athletic and do some more of that kind of stuff to showcase my abilities? Or maybe they do tell him they want him on the ball more, and then he says, okay, well, where can I go to be on the ball more? Probably not UCLA, because Trent Perry is going to be the primary guy there. Probably not Louisville, because they just got Jackson Shellstad there. Maybe it is Illinois that you could do more of that there than maybe you could other places. So it's a very interesting situation. I don't think we're going to get it resolved anytime soon, and I think at this point we're just going to have to continue to follow it, follow what's going on and what's kind of being said behind the scenes, because I think Illinois is also just really happy with their young guys they have. Like I said, Brandon Lee, Lucas Murillo, and they probably don't want to upset that apple cart either. So there's a sense here of Illinois liking Blackwell a lot because of the veteran and things like that, but also they would probably like for this to be decided, sooner rather than later, as every other team would.
Yeah, but the fact that we locked down 4 of those pieces so far as of today,
yeah.
I think we're on a great track at this point. Again, between the 4 guys that we brought back, arguably the 4 more important guys. Andre, I think he's super skilled, and he was very important to last year's team. But I think a wing position is just the easier one to kind of fill when it comes to Tomislav. JR, I know you cover the entire Big Ten Conference. It's hard to find starting centers, and starting centers are going to cost you a pretty penny. So to be able to get Tomislav and Zvonimir, I promise you, if Tomislav decided to come back and Zvonimir decided to enter the transfer portal, he would have probably made 2 or 3 times the amount of money he probably settled for here at Illinois. And again, that's just all credit to Brad Underwood and the culture that he's built here at Illinois. And I'm sure that run last year to the Final Four happened, and there's a lot of feel of let's just run it back one more time. Let's see what happens. And I say this all the time. It's a great time to be an Illini fan.
It is a lot of excitement. And even if things don't always go Illinois' way, you still have a core group there of Tommy, Big Z, Jake Davis, and David Mirkovic, obviously Stefan Vox, Quentin Coleman, Lucas Murillo, all on this team as well. There are so many names we can point to that we think are going to be big pieces for this team next year, starting and coming off the bench. All Illinois has to do is fill out the rest of the roster, whether that's retention, whether that's transfer portal, whatever it might be. Illinois is in a much better spot than some other teams out there, and even teams that are getting a lot of praise right now, like Louisville and Indiana. Yes, they're getting some very talented players, but they're also getting players that are going to have to gel together, that have never really played together. And, some of them are more so potential than they are production. With this Illinois team, you have a whole lot of production, not as much potential you're relying on, which I think bodes well for this team and this coaching staff of Illinois. Sonny, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, not so much. It's go celebrate. Again, it's going to be a good team coming back next year. We're still waiting to hear back on a couple names, but JR, I think I sent you the text earlier during Merck's stream. Apparently, John Blackwell was in that stream, and he made a mention of Merck. So hopefully that's a good sign. But we'll see. In this transfer portal, in this era, you just never really know.
That's right. You don't really know. We'll find it out, and we will know soon enough what all is going on. And of course, we'll be back here to talk about it with you all at Talk Illini, part of Orange and Blue News of the On3 Network. Please do like, subscribe, stick with us here as we keep you up to date on everything that is going on with Illinois basketball and Illinois football. We appreciate you being here. Have a good one. See you next time.